today we're gonna do the famous albondigas from Spain. Of course, being me in my restaurant, I changed the recipe because I like mine from 100% beef, where in Spain sometimes they do it in between, like half pork and half beef. And I use my own spices, and I like the moisture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what I've done here. So I've got grounded carrots, and I use this grade for grinding it. And I've got also, I use the same grade for one onion. Okay, take as much juice of the onion out as you can. I've got 2 tablespoons of cumin. Okay, and believe it or not, I've got some milk, and that gives it the lovely moisture. I use about 2 tablespoons of milk. Okay, of course I've got salt and pepper as usual. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what I do with this. Basically, I just put everything in. So in goes my onion. That's, by the way, half a kilogram. So 500 grams of beef, only once gone through the machine, because I don't like my beef to be very horrible. So I like to taste the beef. So basically, I tell the butcher to put it through the machine only once, because that tastes better. So I put all my stuff in here. A little bit of milk, so 2 tablespoons of milk. Okay, and there goes my things here. And I put a pinch of salt, but then of course you have to taste it later, because you need to make sure it's salty enough, and a bit of pepper. And then here is where you get your hands dirty. Okay, so you mix it all together. You make sure you mix it all very well together, because this is a very important part, because all the cumin, and all the salt pieces and onion pieces and carrot pieces need to be completely mixed together. Otherwise you're gonna get a chunk with more carrot or more cumin, and that's never a nice thing. So I give it a good mix for about a minute or so. And as I said, this recipe was made in the Restaurant Ramon Bodega in Belgium, and the customers, I don't know how many we sold, but it was one of our top sellers in the Bodega. So this is the meat part that I'm showing you now how to make, and then I'm going to show you how to make the sauce while we wait for the meat to take all these tastes in. So what I then do is, once that whole meat is taken all these tastes in, I usually, because what I want to do really is I want to put it in the oven, so for about 10 minutes. And I explain to you why later. This is a pizza pan. I just put some foil on it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically later make balls about that big. Okay, so you can see, very easy to do a ball, right? And then I put them on here like so for it to be ready. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave that there, okay, for it to take all that taste in, and leave it out of the fridge, because what you don't want is cold meat going in the oven. It cooks faster and it's really nice. Okay, so now while I wash my hands, we're gonna prepare the sauce, and I'm gonna show you how to make the sauce while we wait for this to take all the taste into the lovely meat. Right, as I said, so the meat is nicely taking all those lovely herbs and onion and carrot and stuff in. While that's doing that, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the albondiga sauce. Okay, so what did I do? I had about 6 plum tomatoes, and I peeled them. The way I do that normally is I put it in the hot water for a while, and then it just peel off very easily. Then I put it in the machine, and that is the result, so without peel. I also have 1 tomato that I did, like a little small tomato, for chunkiness. I do like a bit of chunk in my sauces. I've got half basically of one of these bulbs of garlic. I've chopped them finely over here. Okay, and then I've got here 1 onion and half of one of these green peppers. Okay, if you have bell peppers, it's okay, just as much as that. That's enough. That's the basic recipe for any Spanish sauce. What I do like to do always is, that was for the meat, so what I like to do is give it a little bit of piquant, and this in the restaurant went really well. So I put about a couple of these cayenne peppers in with a bit of salt and grounded it, and that's what the result is. So what I'm going to show you now, I've got a sort of my oil heated on marker 7 here, I'm gonna just increase it at the beginning. Okay, what you want to do first is you want to put your onion and your pepper in. Because if you put your garlic in first, it will burn really rapidly, and nobody likes it. What did I do before that, of course, which I didn't show you, is I put a good glug of olive oil. You can measure for yourself. It's not a real exact science. Okay. So what you need to do now is you need to cook that for a bit so that it's actually silvery. What you don't want to do is to burn it. And once it's silvery, you want to put your garlic in. Right, this has been now for about 3 minutes, getting nice and translucent, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now is add my garlic, which I showed you before. So I'm going to add the garlic, nice chopped garlic. It was, if you remember, half a bulb of garlic, nicely chopped. Okay, that's in. Give that a good stir. You sort of want that nice translucent onion there, so you don't want it to burn. And the garlic will take, I don't know, 30 seconds. And the smell of garlic is just absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's the basis of this beautiful sauce. So that's doing that. What I'm gonna do now, if you remember, I said I like a bit of a kick, so I've got my cayenne pepper here that I've grounded earlier, a bit of a salt. I'm gonna put that in. All right. Then I'm gonna add my chopped tomatoes with just one. Okay. Then I'm going to add my tomatoes that I peeled and I pureed like this to it. Okay. Give it a good stir. At this stage, what I will do is just going to get my salt and pepper. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to it. Let it boil a bit like that. It's on high heat at the moment, so a bit of pepper, a bit of salt. You can adjust the salt and pepper later, okay? So just for now, just put a little bit of that in. This thickness will come down as the tomatoes will release their juices. So what I'm going to do now, that takes about half an hour or 40 minutes of simmering. So I'm going to put the temperature down on about 3 on my hob, cover it, and let that simmer away. And now we're going to go back to doing our albondigas so that we're ready when the sauce is ready. Okay, so the sauce is cooking, and I, as I showed you before, managed to make these lovely balls. I remember in the restaurant that we took hours and hours because we made a lot every morning with my sous chefs. If you're watching that, thank you very much for helping with all that stuff, because it was a lot of work. So in the restaurant I had a steam oven, so I would put them in the oven for about 10-15 minutes, and they would steam to half baked. Which I don't have in the house, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same but with the oven. What the purpose of this is to put it in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, and that sort of half cooks it. So when you want to serve it, all you have to do is heat your frying pan to sort of an average heat and just fry them gently so they get brown and nice and the middle is cooked. That's the important bit. So I've got my oven preheated to 180. I'm going to leave these in there for about 8 to 10 minutes. I don't want them to fully cook, okay? So if your oven behaves differently, make sure you check it and take it out. It doesn't matter if it's 50% cooked or 40% cooked or 60% cooked, but you don't want to cook it fully because later we're going to fry these, okay? Here they go. Albondigas going in the oven. Right, so they've been in the oven now for about 10 minutes. I'm going to take the albondigas out of the oven, if I can find something to take it out with. Now you don't want it, as I said, cooked all the way, so what we have here is the albondigas cooked halfway, okay? So you don't want it brown, you just want it like that. Now, if you have, this feeds about 5 people, so I normally serve about 5 of these per person with some sauce and bread. But at this stage you can let it cool down and also put it in the fridge, and then when you have guests you take it out an hour before and it gets fried a little bit on low heat, and put some sauce on it, and that's it. So what I've got here is I've got my pan being warmed up on about 7 or 8. I put a nice chunk of glug of olive oil in it, and I need to wait for it to heat up a bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these ones into the oil once it heats up. What you want is sort of a nice color, but you don't want it to be completely brown, because then it's not really nice, to be honest. It's like burnt meatballs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wait for my heat a little bit to heat up here. Just a second. Oil is now heated up, so I'm going to put about 5 of these, because I'm just going to show you a portion. Okay, be careful, it spits a lot because it's got juices and water in it. Okay, you don't want to be doing it for a long time, because as I said, you don't want it really, really brown. So keep turning them until they get a really nice color. Okay. And remember, at this point, the middle, so you don't want it on too much of a high heat, because the middle has to be cooked properly. Okay? So that's cooking nicely. My sauce is also cooking nicely there. Meanwhile, I have seasoned it up first to my taste as it was going, so I don't have to season it anymore. And let me just turn it around. You can see that, beautiful colors. On each side. And that's going to be done in about a minute or so. It's very tasty. So I think 5 of these leave me with bread or some potato chips or patata bravas or something like that on the side. It's very, very nice. Okay, so I'm going to now turn this off. Moving that around. Basically, you're ready. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them into my beautiful plate. These are very Spanish plates that I love very much, and we used to serve it exactly like that in the restaurant. So I'm going to show you how we used to serve it. Over here. So my sauce was cooking, as I said, and now as you can see, absolutely gorgeous. I like to see what I'm eating, so you can see all the different vegetables in it, the onion, the pepper, and the garlic. So we just take a bit of sauce, put that on top, as much or as little as you like. Okay, give it a good shake there, and then this is quite important because parsley brings out the taste of everything. So I've chopped some parsley before. I'm just going to put that on top, and I think that is gorgeous, and it's going to taste beautiful. And there you go, you've got albondigas, and of course, as usual, the chef has to taste the creation. So I'm going to eat that. You can see here in the middle, it's lovely cooked. It's not too much. It's very moist. So I'm going to just eat that with a piece of bread. And one of the things the Spanish like to do, actually, is to soak the bread in the sauce afterwards. So this is what I'm going to do. Bon appetit. Absolutely gorgeous. My wife is waiting to eat this after the filming of this thing. Thank you for that. And cheers to all of you.